What is M theory?
M theory is a proposed umbrella framework in theoretical physics that's meant to unify the five consistent versions of superstring theory into one deeper theory. In it, the basic objects aren't only one-dimensional strings, they can also be higher-dimensional objects called branes. And the mathematics naturally points to an 11-dimensional spacetime, 10 space dimensions plus one time. It's called M partly because its full formulation isn't known yet, and it's still not experimentally confirmed. In practice, physicists use it as a way to relate different string theories through dualities, and to study quantum gravity in regimes where ordinary particle physics breaks down. Are you looking for the intuitive picture or the more technical side, like branes dualities, and why 11 dimensions shows up?
I'm looking for the more intuitive perspective.
Think of M theory as a way to say what we call particles might be different vibration and geometry patterns of a deeper fabric, and the different string theories were like 5 different maps of that same terrain. In the simpler string picture, the basic notes are tiny strings, and different vibrations look like different particles, the way different notes come from the same guitar string. M theory says the instrument is bigger than that. The basic stuff can also be membranes and higher dimensional branes, like sheets and volumes, not just threads. What looks like a particle to us can be a little loop of string, or it can be the effect of a string ending on a brane, or a ripple moving along a brane. Why extra dimensions? A useful intuition is that extra dimensions are directions. The full fabric can move, that we don't notice because they're tightly curled up, or because we're effectively stuck on a brane, like a garden hose. From far away it looks one-dimensional, a line, but up close you see it has a circular dimension around it. In brane language, we may live on a 3-dimensional sheet inside a bigger space. So many forces and particles are confined to our sheet, while gravity can leak into the larger bulk, which is one reason people find the picture attractive. The unification part is about perspective. The 5 string theories look different because they describe different limits, like looking at water as ice, liquid, or vapor depending on temperature and pressure. M theory is the claim that underneath it's one substance, and switching between those theories is like changing coordinates or conditions rather than changing reality. And the 11 dimensions bit is basically the math telling you the fabric needs one more direction than the 10-dimensional string setup to make all those maps fit together consistently in a single picture. If you want, I can tie that intuition to one concrete example, like how a brain world picture explains why we feel 3 space dimensions, or how dualities are like rotating a shape and realizing 2 descriptions were the same object.
Yeah, discuss the dualities.
Dualities are, this looks like a different theory, but it's actually the same physics described in a different coordinate system. They're not just analogies. In many cases, they're precise mathematical equivalences between 2 descriptions that on the surface use different ingredients. The easiest intuition is that a duality trades what you call big for small, or strong for weak, while keeping the underlying observable content intact. T-duality is the clean big-small swap. Imagine one dimension is a circle. In string theory, a string can carry ordinary motion around the circle, but it can also wrap around the circle like a rubber band. T-duality says a theory on a circle of radius r can be equivalent to a theory on a circle of radius alpha prime over r if you also swap the roles of momentum modes and winding modes. So what one description calls a very large circle, the dual description calls a very small circle. Yet the spectrum of physical excitations matches because moving around and wrapping around trade places. A famous consequence is that type 2a compactified on a circle is T-dual to type 2b compactified on the dual radius circle and vice versa. S-duality is the strong-weak swap. Here the knob you turn is the coupling, roughly how strongly strings interact. And S-duality maps a strongly coupled regime of one description to a weakly coupled regime of another, which is powerful because it lets you study a hard, strongly interacting system by translating it into an easier, weakly interacting one. A classic example is that type 1 string theory is S-dual to the heterotic string with SO32 gauge symmetry, and type 2b is believed to be self-S-dual, meaning it maps back to itself with the coupling in duality is essentially T plus S plus more, a web of dualities that shows up when you compactify on more complicated shapes like higher dimensional tori. It mixes geometric data, sizes, and shapes of compact dimensions with coupling data in a single symmetry group. And it's one of the clues that geometry and interaction strength aren't fundamentally separate in the deeper theory. Where M-theory enters is as the viewpoint that these aren't coincidences. There are different limits of one underlying structure. The intuitive flagship example is that type 2A at strong coupling grows an extra circular dimension and becomes M-theory in 11 dimensions, with the radius of that extra circle set by the coupling.